This is what we need in any proposed kind of approach to help us understand Islam and implement it in our lives. It should lead ultimately to self-awareness. What do I mean by self-awareness? Self-awareness means that you understand what you are created for. You understand that your beliefs, your aqeedah, creates your actions. That your actions originate from your aqeedah. So don't think any action you do, any word that comes out of your mouth comes by way of accident. No. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about the munafiqeen, وَلَتَعْرِفَنَّهُمْ فِي لَحْنِ الْقَوْلِ. And you shall know them, you'll be able to tell who the hypocrites are through the slip of the tongue. Even a slip of the tongue originates from some sort of belief. And we know this. So, and this is, by the way, one of the reasons why families break down. Sometimes a husband at work, he develops a relationship with one of his colleagues, female colleagues. And he thinks that his wife would never find out. But she finds out. Why? Can anyone tell me why? His voice. Feelings. How can she tell? Like, so he changes. He changes. What brought about this change? His heart. Something changed inside him. And ultimately, anything changes inside has to do with belief. So she can straight away tell. Don't think that your actions are separated from what you believe in, from your opinion. Don't think any action you do has nothing to do with what's in your heart. It's all related, yes. 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 This is what I've been saying for an hour. Jazakallah khair. That's exactly what I've been saying. And this is the problem that we have to treat. And I'm telling you, the reason why we have mixed beliefs inside us. We haven't reached at least the level of iman and wajib. The Prophet ﷺ said, he talks about the hearts, and he said one type of the hearts, قَلْبٌ تَمُدُّهُ مَادَّةُ إِيمَانٍ وَقَلْبٌ تَمُدُّهُ مَادَّةُ كُفْرٍ. A heart that has some elements of iman and elements of kufr. And ultimately, he's going to arrive at one, either iman or kufr. So don't think that we have pure iman inside us. The reason why we don't act upon this iman, it has become obsolete in our hearts. We put it aside. It's become a bit stagnant. And what we need is actually to bring that to life again. And one of the tools that help us bring that to life again is once we realize the connection between what we do and why we make our choices and how we think and our faith. Our faith transforms everything like that. You need to change the tape. Okay, I'll take some, inshallah, any feedback that you have, any reflections that you have until, inshallah, the brothers change the CD. Fadl. Jazakallah khairan. Okay. In Egypt, that was the solution. That was the proposed solution. So they killed Anwar Sadat. Jazakallah khair. It doesn't change anything. Trouble. Battling what? Okay. Okay. I have to disagree with you that the majority of the scientists. Anyone dead? Yeah. Okay, I will repeat. The brother said basically that it was the mutakallimun, the people who took the philosophy, They were the pioneers in science and technology, which we claim the West took from us. But Ahlul Sunnah were debating issues of Aqidah. That was your statement? Okay, Jazakallah khair. That's unfortunately the drawn picture, and an ummah that does not write its history is bound to fail. There's a methodological problem with writing history, but I can't just talk about it now. But unfortunately, that's not right. The majority of the scholars, majority of the scientists, were basic Ahlul Sunnah. Some of the famous names, yes, they were philosophers. They were involved in ilm al-kalam and things like that. But if you count them, I mean, there are just a few. The majority of the scientists were Ahlul Sunnah, who we call awam. They had correct aqidah because they were upon fitrah. So that impression, unfortunately, is very political. It's very political. And that Ahlul Sunnah were engaged in debates related to aqidah. That's on a very limited scale. And if they did not do that, our ummah would have lost its identity long ago. Because identity originates from aqidah. And I'll come to this, inshallah. Okay. Yes. Okay. Yes, I didn't dwell on that for long. Basically, what I meant by business, yes, I will repeat the question, inshallah. Bismillah. One of the available solutions or proposed solutions among Muslims today was pseudo practicality. I mentioned NLP and I mentioned business. What I meant by business is, these courses that about management and about leadership and about time management and about optimal performance. It's a bit related to NLP and coaching as well. As I said, there's no problem originally with these because they are just normal sciences. Whatever you can benefit from that, fine. But as long as you don't call that this is Islam, you don't say this is Islam, or try to just apply some hadith and say this is Islam. Try, even if some of their statements are right, there's a downhill to that, or a downside to that, is that we lose our originality. We become just like a shadow of what the West has originated. And this was exactly what happened with the philosophers. Thank you for mentioning that. When philosophy, Greek and Roman philosophy was translated, the mutakallimun, they took it and they distilled from it a new approach to Islam. And they said that's the only approach. Anything, there's a bit, Imam al-Shatibi in al-Muwafaq, in al-I'tisam, has a very beautiful statement in volume 1. He says, every person involved in bid'ah, he becomes adamant and exclusivist about his bid'ah. That's a general rule with bid'ah. Because any group that holds on to bid'ah, it becomes the center of their deen. The wala and bara is based on that. You will notice that with every group. So, with these people who once they say NLP, that's Islam, if you don't agree with, or you disagree with them with any of these aspects, it becomes a matter of wala and bara. That's one of the downsides of it. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you. If we can do that in a controlled environment, no problem. This is what I said. We have to be informed about sciences. This is what I meant by that. Jazakallah khairan. I agree with you. He basically says that some of these elements, we can use them, and we can actually enhance our understanding of some aspects of probably Islam or anything. If that could be done in a controlled environment, I mean controlled, that is scientifically, according to Islamic principles, is controlled, then inshallah there should be no harm. As long as it's within A system that's originally Islamic. Okay, let me take the brother here. Oh. Yes. You know, if we were to get into these debates, it's a never ending, okay? But generally speaking, the brother says about, it's just the premise that whether technology is good in the first place. I believe anything that serves a good end, as long as it does not contradict Islam, it could be taken advantage of. So generally, science is something that is approved Islamically, and the problem is not with technology, with the way people use it. With the way it's been used, even in the West, especially in the West. There are obviously political reasons and business politics there, so we don't need to get into this. Just let me take the last question. So. Yes, definitely. Definitely. Yes. It's the same thing. Okay, uncle, if someone doesn't speak Arabic, okay, and give him the Quran, give him the Sunnah, that's what the Prophet ﷺ had, go ahead with it. You need Arabic language. Yes? You need to understand the Arabic language. People now study Nahu, Arabic grammar. Now at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, there was no Nahu. Now in order to become a mujtahid, you have to understand the rules of Nahu, grammar. But it was not at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. So why do we need it to become a scholar? These are called al-masalih al-mursala. Okay? Imam Ibn Taymiyyah says in his book, كلما ابتعد العهد بالناس عن عهد النبوة وقعوا في طامات. You know, the further away we are from the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the more complicated things will be. So these are just tools to get us, you know, if you think about Islamic disciplines like usul al-fiqh and nahu, usul al-hadith, what are they? They are a means to get us in the same state as the companions. Because the companions had good understanding, most of them full understanding of usul al-fiqh. It was subtle, they didn't need to express it in that way. The same with nahu, the same with anything. I'll come back to you, but okay. Inshallah, we'll have more time for questions. Okay, it has to, some of the, and I've gathered these from books of Islamic Muslim scholars. It has to provide Muslims with self-awareness. So we really understand our faith and how it impacts life, how it shapes societies. It does, and there's an inner dynamic, and inshallah we'll try to have a glimpse on it in the coming days, bi'idhnillah. Okay, it has to give us the initiative, a sense of initiative. Most Muslims are reactionists. We tend to react. And the problem with reaction, you're always captive. You don't set the terms. Somebody else sets the terms for you. The Prophet ﷺ, the life of the Prophet ﷺ was full with initiative. Full with initiative. He would always be steps ahead of anybody else. That was the Prophet ﷺ. We will come to talk about this, inshallah. Optimism. Optimism is part of our faith. It just shows proper aqidah in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the names and attributes of Allah. A true believer can never fall in despair. Allah says that clearly in the Quran. إِنَّهُ لَا يَأْسُ مِنْ رَوْحِ اللَّهِ إِلَّا الْقَوْمُ الْكَافِرُونَ. No one despairs of the mercy of Allah except the kuffar, the kafirun, the disbelievers. If you truly have belief, you know, according to the level of your belief, you will have optimism. The Prophet ﷺ, even in the most difficult moments, he would give the companions the glad tidings of what? Of Persia, of Asham, of Yemen. He would always give this. He would say that Islam would dominate the Arabian Peninsula until a woman could travel from Iraq to Yemen fearing no one. There's no fear. There would be no fear. So the Prophet ﷺ was optimistic about this. This is why the believers were always strong and courageous.